Welcome everyone to already the third GovTech Demo Day. My name is Aruna and I'm the manager of the GovTech Lab at MITA, and I will be moderating today's event. Over the last 2 years, the GovTech space in Lithuania has grown immensely. From the first steps of launching the GovTech Lab almost exactly 2 years ago, when we started with just a few challenges, to today, where we will have 10 challenges and 10 solutions presented to the world. And this is not it. In a few months, we're launching another batch of challenges. This time, not 2, not 10, but almost 50. This is how fast the GovTech ecosystem is growing in Lithuania. And this growth would not be possible without public sector institutions and companies that made a brave decision to be part of the first organizations that wanted to try a different way of working together, to find a way that would be more creative and more impactful and more effective at the same time. Public sector organizations questioned, how do you look for solutions that you don't even know exist? And they look to startups, companies, and academia to find these answers and to find impact-driven entrepreneurs to co-create digital solutions together. And it's already the third time we have this amazing group of people that want to ask these questions and lead innovative change in Lithuania. And for this third GovTech Challenge series, we had 10 public sector challenges selected out of 57 submitted, and 58 ideas on how to solve these 10 challenges were proposed by the market, and 10 best were chosen to be part of the accelerator. And they were part of a 10-week accelerator that connected companies with public sector organizations where they worked hard to figure out the complex challenges provided. So today, in today's demo day, you'll see 10 teams that have spent the last 10 weeks working together on solving 10 public sector challenges. And today's event will consist of 3 parts. Each part will have between 3 and 4 pitches, and the parts will be separated by the fireside chats. So after the first part, we'll have a conversation with Karolis Žemaitis, advisor to the Ministry of Economy and Innovation. And after the second part, we'll talk with Sandra Galbraith, CEO and co-founder of Baltic Sandbox, and Alex Gibb, co-founder and partner at Catalysta Ventures. But of course, at the heart of today's event are 10 pitches from our companies and public sector organizations. Every pitch will last around 7 minutes, and we'll have 2 minutes for questions. Feel free to use the chat function on the platform to ask questions to the teams or comment on their solutions. We'll try to cover as many questions as we can in 2 minutes. So, without further ado, let's begin with our first pitch. And the first challenge is how to manage fiscal data securely and reliably. The challenge was put forward by the State Tax Inspectorate and solution co-created by Kagia. Vilius and Laurynas, the stage is yours.
The Tax Inspectorate shall initiate the use of the modern technological methods for economic operations. The e-services developed by the tax authority will allow the modernization of cash register, which will allow business to supply receive data directly to tax authority. It's estimated that the implementation of e-services will result in a lower administrative burden for business of around 67 million euros each year. However, before the development of e-services, the tax authority faces with the challenge when there is no connection, how to ensure that received data will reach tax authority correctly and unchanged. The tax authority aim to evaluate the the tax authority aim to evaluate the technological methods of managing this challenge. Thank you, Laurynas.
Thanks. Thanks, Vaidas. And I will now present the solution for this challenge. And it's also nice to kick off this event and start this. So for this challenge, our solution, we call this security module. So what we've done here is we specified what is the security module, and we did this in co-creation principle, combining the knowledge of Kaguya Association and the tax authorities. So let's go through a concept of the security module, and it is basically a software and hardware complex that consists of three main components. So we have a receipt data chain, digital signature, and secure environment. Now let's go through each of the components to understand it a bit better. So security module forms a receipt data chain from the unique point of sale system information. And it is done by using a data from current receipt and adding a block of data from the previous one. This process is based on a blockchain technology principles. As each block contains an information about the block previous to it, they form a chain. And these chains are totally resistant to modification of their data. So we have current receipt, we have previous one, and here we have a block of information combined. So next we have a digital signature, and it is needed to ensure a maximum authenticity of the data, identity of the device or a server, and it's all done with a future-proofed cryptographic algorithms. All of these processes and operations have to be done in a secure environment, and in this case, a secure environment is a hardware, a device for secure key storage and cryptographic operations. Now we have this online scenario, which is actually a goal for tax authorities, but it is possible only when the internet connection is available. But it's not a perfect world, and not everyone can sustain this online scenario because of various situations. And here the periodical data transfer is not possible. So that's why the security module is necessary. It allows to transport data periodically, and during this offline period, it signs and stores the data securely. It also handles a large amount of receipts and other sales documents. So let's talk about what we've achieved together with tax authorities and during this challenge, and see what's next. So based on this concept, a specification document for security module will be delivered with a detailed information about process diagrams, specifications of algorithms, data exchange specification, process specification, and cryptography specification. And the next steps would be for tax authorities, it is like requirements for a public tenders, also certification guidelines for security modules and point of sale systems. And a few words about the team. The team is Kaguya. It is an association of point of sale system manufacturers, importers, and service companies. So that's it from me. Thank you. And we can answer your questions. I have a colleague next to me, so if you have any, please ask. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Laurinus, and just even more encouragement for the audience to ask questions. But I already have questions, some of the questions ready, and you talked about it a bit. But if I'm just I'm someone who's selling in the market, for instance, carrots, and why I should care about the solution, why it's something that I should think about or even push forward. What do you think? What would be your answer to these kind of to these people?
Perhaps you.
Well, good day. My name is Liutaur Joba, and I am part of technical team who was working on preparation of specification. So what is the benefits for sellers? So basically, for sellers, there is no direct benefit because the goal of it just to ensure correct data is provided, submitted to tax authorities. But once again, as soon as a state country receives this money, the money is used for social services, for that purposes, and then again you start to receive more taxes are collected, more taxes could be directed to social needs of every citizen of our state. So in that sense, more taxes will be created, more benefits, social benefits you will get.
So it's basically less of a headache for them, for the people as well. They don't need to worry, is the data going to be transferred or not. Then they can be sure that it will be done by this tax solution. And they don't need to think about this extra. And another question that we have is that this is actually the first time that we had association that participated in the GovTech Challenge series. And of course, that means that there are more than one company that is working on the solution. Could you expand a bit more? How did you find working together in such a big group, I'd say, in actually solving the challenges? What you think, why was that maybe easier, or what were the extra challenges that maybe others didn't face?
First of all, we need to say thank you, appreciate you for organizing agile principles and agile training courses, because that's the way as we did it. So we try to use it, implement it, and then it's used with team working principles.
That's great to hear always. And another quick question that we have is, do you see in the future any other opportunities, for instance, that similar solutions could be used abroad or in any other areas? Have you talked about or just discussed in general what might be then even the kind of bigger market for these kind of solutions?
Well, once again, it could be different directions. One thing, but quite similar problems arises in other countries where tax authorities need to solve similar problems. So in that sense, our solution could be exploited as well in other countries. But this is one direction. Second direction is, of course, it's possible to apply the same principles in other areas. This is why it is interesting. It's something like to provide personal identity cards, digital signature to systems solutions. So where is needed once again to protect data, protect authenticity of the data which is generated by a system, so the same solution could come and be exploited.
Okay, I think that's very useful to hear for other than public sector institutions as well, to thinking about the next innovations and so on. We had the question as well about how it affects actually the final buyers, but I think we covered how it affects the seller. But is there any difference for the buyer? How if the solution you use or not, or does that is there extra step, or there's just as seamless as it is now, for instance, or even
totally transparent and seamless, so even buyer does not affect it at all with this technology is used. Actually, and this solution as well provides some extra benefits which could be developed into different new services. So first of all, they may start to receive electronic receipts, and in some cases, electronic receipt is used as warranty document for some particular goods like TV sets and so on. And in that case, they are received totally trusted information, so it cannot be modified, it could not be corrupted. So our solution will provide this ensurement, but this is totally right.
Thank you very much. And so thank you, Kagi, and thank you, State Tax Inspectorate for amazing work over the last 10 weeks and hopefully even more. And we actually have our next challenge, and the next challenge is proposed by Environmental Protection Department on how to improve environmental risk assessment of companies. And the solution will be presented by Burbis. And as I mentioned, the challenge was put forward by Environmental Protection Department. So the stage is yours, Žygimantas and Arvydas.
The institution responsible for environmental control in Lithuania is taking the initiative to digitize the environmental risk assessment of companies. The aim is to have the system to gather all the necessary information and assess the environmental risk of each entity, assign an environmental risk rating. The system will help to select the greatest risk to the environment from the 29,000 companies currently known to the authorities and to draw up an inspection plan. This will allow identifying the most risky pollutants, protect the environment more effectively, and increase the confidence of the public and economic entities in environmental control. Will ensure that we live in a healthier and cleaner surroundings. Thank you. Arvydas?
Hello, my name is Arvydas. I will prolong colleagues' representation. Let me begin with introducing our company, Burbis. Burbis is working in different fields of business, but this year we got lucky and invite some new company members who was working on a risk management system creations before and succeeded with governmental projects such as risk management systems for money laundering, based accounting system for VAT returning, and other similar systems and programs. This year, our company is first time taking on a governmental project challenge and starts cooperation with a department. At first, we are consulting our colleagues from the department on how the basic of the system should look. As you can see in our slide, the system itself is made from a main system, which is needed for beginning of working at all, and optional features on the right, which could be added later if need be, such as integrations with other governmental systems. The system involved will be created in a module way to be able to make easy changes in the future, not only by our team, but by the department itself or other companies too. To understand more clearly, let's look at our next slide, where it is simplified process movement in the system. The information is moving between departments and goes through all the steps from creating control plans, confirming them, doing inspections, physical inspections, gathering information, processing information, and making decisions for next check plan list creation for next year. What is done now, all this showed process, is that the department doing all this work in 40 Excel tables, and it takes a lot of human resources to complete all the tasks. It is very, very time consuming too. Our purpose is to shorten time needed for all the tasks to be done and lower the requirement for staff to be involved in the process by typing everything manually. As a result, the system of the controlling mechanism should allow manage the risks as subjects more efficiently, and the selection process will be well documented and transparent, and we'll have some history on that. In case to answer complicated 140 questionnaires in Excel tables, which is used now, we are preparing yes or no system and simplified user-friendly version of program use. As you can see, one-page sample in the slide. You can all imagine 140 questions in the Excel table, how wide it is, which has to be answered, and compared to this page here, it is a lot simpler solution for usage. Okay, let's move forward. So what's now? What we are doing now? Now we are in a consulting stage where company Burbis is consulting department for possible program technical solutions and process management. Both department and Burbis teams finds cooperative environment and with each other understanding, so the process of the final product is promising. Our next step is to help to prepare for public procurement, by which will be defined who will be creating final risk management system. We are as a company overlooking processes step by step and helping to check all the technical requirements for the final working project, which should be described in detail in the procurement technical documentation. That's basically it. So you are all very welcome to come to us in case you want to get a solution for similar risk management or data management system. Doesn't matter for us. We will be very happy to cooperate with you in any case. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. That was definitely very interesting. And I'd like to start with a broader question that before this challenge series, Burbis was mainly focusing on other areas. Why have you even decided to participate in the challenge series? How was that experience for you?
Accidentally find the right persons for that job, so why not? It's a promising future business, so we decided to step in. That's
amazing. It's great to see businesses taking opportunities during this kind of situation that we had over the last more than a year, and finding these new avenues and new ways of trying to make an impact. You talked a bit about what would be the benefits for the department in using the system. So, but what do you think is the biggest change that the system creates for the department? Is this the shorter time, as you mentioned, or is something else? What do you think is the main benefit here? Well, the main benefit is yes, time consuming, lowering this part of time consuming, and also bringing more transparency in the process as a whole. Less manual working means less automated operations. Well, I mean more automated operations. More automated operations means more transparency in the process. So because you can change less subjects, less information, and so on. That's the main reasons. Yeah, that sounds perfect. And we had a question from the audience as well about different information systems. And do you, in your solution, do you use, just to kind of clarify, data from different information systems to collect it, or is it the kind of new source of information, or is already the kind of older information systems where you just kind of collect all that information into one area? Well, in the first step, in the first stage of the program processing, we will use the information department using now. They already have that information, and they already use that using that information. In the next step, as I mentioned, we are creating as a model system. We will be able to integrate processes from our all the governmental, or mostly all the governmental institutions. So I don't know if I'm answering the question right, if it was asked. Yeah, I think that's at least that's how I understood the question. So I think that sounds perfect. And we're running out of time, so thanks a lot, everyone. Thank you, Burbis. Thank you, Environmental Protection Department, for your keen interest in this and your desire to innovate. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thank you.
And the third challenge today is how to detect illegal employment using online sources. The challenge was raised by the State Labor Inspectorate, and the solution was created by Atlantic. So the stage is yours.
Thank you. Dear colleagues, illegal work is not only the most serious labor laws violation, but also a constitutional breach of human rights. It distorts labor market and promotes unfair competition. Where is the problem? The State Labor Inspectorate has limited resources fighting with illegal work. When investigating cases, inspectors take a long time to select risky entities, search and systemize information. Some of the information is not even available for them. On the internet, we can find complaints, feedbacks, job advertisements, contact details, photos. These data are important to us not only for analysis, but also for court proceedings. Why do you need an analysis tool? We want to reduce the time spent investigating illegal work cases and at the same time increase the number of inspections. In general, robotize this process. In 2020, we performed about 4,000 inspections related with illegal work. Well, violations were found in all of them. If this violation had not taken place, more than 4 million euros would be paid to the state budget by taxes. Thank you. Mario, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Liutauras, for your challenge and for introduction of problem that matters for everyone in our country. I am Marius from company Atlantic that took this challenge. And together with State Labor Inspectorate, we have created a solution that can help solving this problem. I will dive in solution, so let's look at it closer. We have created solution prototype for proof of concept for Lithuanian State Labor Inspectorate. This solution combines many data from multiple public sources. It relates data and shows it all visually to see risks and relations visually, take actions and confirm risks. Let's zoom into it a bit. This is one company example from construction industry. And we have this company auto-related to another company having same person working as manager. Any contact information which is public can be used for auto-relations. And one high-scored risk is detected. This risk is when we compare public salary offerings with internal official salary data. And we see it from news and ads jobs portals. Another additional high-scored risk is detected when company has public comments, which has words or phrases which are identified as risk factors. And we use machine learning to learn from those words and phrases to auto-score risks more fluently. What this solution would do? It would help inspectors. It would contain and create one single user interface, and they would use it every day. They would see all information on companies and risk scores, and it would be integrated to currently used risk assessment system. So it will be one solution integrated. This is a big picture of full solution. And on next slides, I will tell you what part of it we managed to create so far. And full solution would contain automated data scanning and retrieving from unlimited data sources. And data will be auto-related using all available information. And machine learning and artificial intelligence will be used to train constantly risk assessment based on content. And of course, there will be different risk factor sets for different economic activities. How it works? We have made a part of solution with prototype and proof of concept, POC. POC data used are both structured and unstructured. And mostly we use mechanism text-based, but those are also intelligent. Those mechanisms are structuring knowledge, they are indexing and auto-relating it. And other skill sets, which can be extension beyond prototype, would include documents, images, handwriting, and other content recognition. This solution could be a great start for modern data platform journey for Inspectorate. And we believe that team which starts it would be leaders who digitalize and gain benefits first, and make example for rest other employees of inspectorate. And this solution would serve as fundamental part for long-term actions plan. What are next steps which are being done and planned? So next steps is with continuity planned. And of course, we were finalizing final touches on solution prototype. And we will talk and get full feedback and final decisions from inspectorate, and hoping that procurement procedures will be started for that. And further steps are estimated beyond Lithuania only, functionalities extension to cover more EU market potential are estimated also. I would like to say thanks for all big team we had from inspectorate, from our company Atlantic, from our technologies partner Microsoft. We all did great job and created prototype in just so small amount period of less than 10 weeks. Of course, we had some challenges to overpass, and it was not very easy to collect all team members during a hot summer period and the holidays time. And we had, of course, some issues with data, but it brought us all understanding that solution exists that can address and solve problems, and become each inspector at inspectorate to become much faster, more informed, more capable, and more effective every day. So we are glad to be part of this, and we are sure it was only start, not finish. Any questions?
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Marius and Liutauras. You definitely did a great job over such a short period of time. And before we get questions from the audience, just the first question for me, you mentioned in one of the slides the possible expansion in other markets. And do you think from your experience over the last 10 weeks, what is language, for instance, isn't a barrier, or is it because in Lithuania it's already a bit more maybe difficult than recognizing some of the patterns in English, for instance? Is it you already conquered the biggest mountains and the others are just an easy hike, if you wanted to expand? How's the dynamic here in terms of scaling to other countries?
So yes, so language can be a bit challenge, but it's solvable because when we are scanning content in each country, it is language that matters. And when we detect, for example, some comments that we auto-scan, we learn from that who are risk, which companies. So it is language related, but this is not an issue that cannot be solved. So just different models, different skill sets of language should be used then, and any language can be used for that. Just Lithuanian module will not fit like a German model. So that's for sure.
Thank you. And your cooperation with Liutauras and the team has been very successful. And what do you think were the key factors? Because you mentioned, of course, you did have challenges as everyone else as well in terms of data and other kind of areas. What do you think were kind of the main determinants, that you were able to have a successful proof of concept built in such a short time?
When you have bigger teams, so it's very important to have some very active team members that can push on each side. So we managed to have Liutauras, one of such members that pushed and got answers, got data, helped us. So that's it, what is needed. Some good insiders in each team.
Thank you. I guess this is a wish for all the other and future challenges as well. And thanks a lot again, Marius and Liutauras. You did an amazing job, and hopefully we see the solution used more and more in the future. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
So Now we'll finish the first part of the solution presentation with a very exciting fireside chat between Karolis Žemaitis, advisor to the Ministry of Economy and Innovation, and Elijus Čivilis, head of digital at Lithuanian Railways and expert at the GovTech Lab. So welcome both to the GovTech Demo Day, Elijus and Karolis, and I'm very keen to listen to your conversation about open data and other key enablers of GovTech. So the virtual stage and the virtual mic is yours.
Thank you, Aruna, and good day, everyone who has joined this fantastic event online and everyone who is part of this movement, which is so fast growing in this country and also the region. And today, transferring to the next part of the meeting, we are having this fireside chat with a fantastic gentleman, Karolis Žemaitis. And you have heard that in most of the solutions, there's this data, which is one of the key components to be successful. And recently, we've got quite many interesting news, and I thought Karolis is going to be the best person to discuss and reveal what actually has happened. But before we deep dive into the actual topics, I wanted, to warm up Karolis and warm up you guys, that you know who is he as a person. So let me do following, that my few first questions, I will ask Karolis with expected answer yes or no, and then we can elaborate on the next questions, if you don't mind. So Karolis, a very pragmatic question, whether or not, yes or no, do you speak data?
So first of all, hi everyone. Hi Elijus, it's a pleasure to be here. And I would say that yes, I am a big believer in data. So I hope that I speak at least a little bit of data.
Fantastic. So is that true that you were directly involved in the recent high impact legislation processes that has been just approved by the Parliament?
Well, yeah, just like the whole team of ministry, I've been also involved in this process, of course.
And is it the last change you implemented, or we should expect something more?
The best is yet to come, so you should expect more.
Yeah, that's promising. And since you have heard already about several demos and proof of concept from the GovTech, have you yourself had an opportunity already to test one or two GovTech solutions in your current role?
Not yet, but I'm very particularly interested in this neurotechnology initiative together with the Department of Migration. So that's, I think, one of the key things for us to follow, especially having the current situation that we have now.
Fantastic. So, Karolis, I've heard this interesting point saying that all the people that see someone for the first time, it takes them just a couple of seconds to make an opinion about that person. And then the rest of the conversation is just rather either to prove that you were right or to prove that you were actually wrong about the impression of that person. And I should say my impression is that you are a big, stakeholder for this GovTech community. And so that we better understand what you do at the ministry, can you tell us more what exactly has been done now on the open data recently?
Yeah, so open data is a bit of a buzzword right now, and it's been here for a while, but I really honestly believe that the big changes are yet to come. And one of the most important, I think, highlights of the current period is the current open data law that is now in action since July the 17th, which is part of the EU directive, which will help us rapidly open data of the public sector, where different kind of institutions, they will be obliged to open its data for free. And this is one of the milestones for the public sector and for the government to actually not only speak about open data, but actually implement the tools businesses, for enterprises, for GovTech initiatives to actually use the data that the public sector, that the government has, because we have enormous amount of data. But since now, in many cases, the open data initiatives has been more sporadic, and now we have a very clear law that states that we have to open the data in the public sector. And I think that's a big step forward. Of course, the devil or the success is in the details, how we will manage to implement this law, and how we will manage to actually create possibilities for usage of open data.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's really sounds groundbreaking, to have a dedicated law on opening the data. And although the law is just being, approved, but I just wonder, how much time would you give to yourself and also to this country to have really tangible value out of this law? I mean, when would you expect first, outcomes we will feel and touch?
Well, it very much depends how the data will be used by the how we will manage to use the data. But I believe in even now enterprises or startups can start using the data. But I believe that this rapid change will be felt in upcoming 1 or 2 years, because we also have a couple of initiatives following this law that will hopefully help. That this law would not only be theoretical, but would be very practical. And I have to be very honest that the public sector might not be sometimes as dynamic and as fast as we would like it to be. But one of the main criteria for us is not only to have, to tick the box that we did the law and that's it, but actually to make it work. So I hope that in the upcoming period of time, we will feel the actual impact of that, but that is very much related to the overall ecosystem, because just opening the data is not enough. The question is who and how will use the data that the government provides.
That sounds a very interesting point, having this this transformation where we are today. And I just wonder, how do startups and how does GovTech community can actually help, to the public sector institutions to do this opening process? Because I imagine there are so many obstacles all over, right? I mean, you don't have resources, you don't have contracts, you don't have hands and people and competences, but then all of a sudden you have to do this big change. Would you have, any tips on how the startups and the GovTech community could contribute and participate in this process?
Well, first of all, I think you have to be very proactive and very brave. I would even use this word, to actually proactively push the government and push us as the public servants. I really like this term, public servant. We are just here to help the businesses, help the startups, help different kind of initiatives. So it very much depends upon the ecosystem, how active the ecosystem is when it comes to the opening of data, and how it might help us to be faster, to be more resilient to this bureaucratic mindset that we sometimes have. So this is also what I could mention is we have this open data board when we have already existing tool of conversation with the ecosystem. We have our own open data group inside the ministry, and I think what is important to mention is right now the mindset of the ministry is very pro open data. So I think it's a very good momentum to use that to push and to change some things, and to actually have the possibility of using the data. So it very much depends on your proactiveness, and you have to knock on the doors, and we will try and we will find the ways how we can cooperate, because otherwise, with the public bureaucrats, we sometimes get lost in our own world of our own issues and problems. And if we have someone who is constantly reminding us about what is important, that really helps a lot. And I think having this very vibrant ecosystem of startups, of GovTech community, I think it will be a very good for us, a very good policeman, you know, to keep us awake in this process.
Yeah, Karoli, honestly, you don't look like bureaucrat, and it doesn't, you know, sound in your words that you are one of those people.
We do our best. We do our best to remind us what is happening, you know, from outside the walls of the ministry. So that's why the dialogue is key here.
Yeah, but I'm really glad that you actually uncovered a little bit what's, you know, what type of resources and what type of a capacity you have in the ministry when it comes to the data opening. You have a data board. You said that you have a data team. Can you tell us more from the inside? How does that look in the public sector?
Well, so the Ministry of Economy and Innovation is one of the key stakeholders when it comes to the overall opening of data. And we also have this so-called Information Society Development Committee. Well, we'll have to work on that name, but that's one of the key committees that is responsible for the overall national opening of data. We have the department, the digital department within the ministry. But I think what is also important to mention is that also after this law took place, each and every institution will have to have its own responsible person for opening of data, because we as a ministry, we might open all the data we have, and we're on a good track to do that, but it's not about the overall country and overall governmental data. So it's very important to coordinate the overall actions. So we have the committee, we have the digital department, even the Lithuanian parliament is rather active right now with their initiatives. But what, as I mentioned, the most important thing is how each and every institution will react to this obligation of opening, and that's where it will be very important to manage all of these different kind of institutions, how they are going to open the data. So we have different kind of institutions, lots of people working, and I think the ministry's main responsibility is to coordinate the whole process. And I hope that we are on a good track to do even better than we do now.
So on this contact persons in each institution, is it going to be like a public list of the people anyone can contact, or how this will work?
Well, we already have this national open data portal that you can even visit now. I believe that it will be the more and more data sets will be coming up in that. And I think now, from the ministry point of view, we have a certain vice minister that is directly responsible for open data. We have the advisor to the minister that is responsible for data. We have different kind of committees. So I'm not sure if we have one go-to guy when it comes to open data, as it's very complex process. But what I can assure you is that the ministry is always very open to any sort of ideas, and we would be very glad if you could just bomb us with different kind of initiatives, as I already mentioned. So we are also working on this map of stakeholders and even maybe one day we will have a actual working chief digital officer that would be that one go-to person when it comes to open data.
Wow. So I understand that everyone here is invited to go to data.gov.lt and submit their demands, which is just on the front page, where you can put your requests. And I understand this is not just a, some formal form, but this is rather a list that's then lays down on the table for Karolis. So please use this opportunity and remember this guy as one of the biggest data fans in the ministry. But Karolis, since our time is ticking, I just wanted to know maybe your final thoughts about is this just the beginning, this open data? Because you mentioned that we have a lot of data, right? And we understand that this whole public sector transformation and efficiencies can be done not only through the open, but also through the closed and internal data. Do you think we have enough think tank capacity rather to draw some kind of roadmap where we can go? I mean, how this could look like in the future, the public services?
Well, we have to try. We have to try do our best to have this knowledge, to have this know-how, and to create needed competences when it comes to the open data. I strongly believe that we did already a lot, and as a country throughout the past 10 years, and as we can see that in different kind of ratings and different kind of recognitions of Lithuania's development in open data. But I believe that especially when what I can mention is this: we have allocated 30 million euros when it comes to economic recovery and resilience fund directly to the open data initiatives in the government. So this is a very concrete tool for us to work. But data itself has no value. It's just ones and zeros stored somewhere in ministries' servers. Data has value only if it's used, only if it's empowered by the ecosystem. And I think it's not a good idea when the government tries to replicate the business, or when the business tries to replicate the government. But I really strongly believe in this ecosystem, that we as servants, we can give you the information the best way we can. And the question is how you will disrupt the information that we have. Without Trafi's interference, the information about the public buses was basically had zero value. So in this case, I really strongly believe that if you will disrupt us as a government, we will have a huge success in open data.
Wow. Honestly, I got much more than I was expecting before this chat. And I really wanted to thank you, Karolis, for being that open and so much taking the arrows to yourself and provoking everyone in this community to be active, to be some slightly provocative manner, and then, revealing that we have quite a big bright future in the upfront. We have funding, we have law, we have committed advisor to the ministry who is also a big data believer. I think we are about to hit a very bright future. So thank you, Karolis.
Thank you very much for having me.
So I'm giving back the floor to Aruna, and talk to you soon.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, both. And we've seen today and in the previous demo days that the data has been both the challenges and the opportunity for many of the teams working in the GovTech field. And our next challenge was kind of born from this idea as well, of how we can use the data in the form of images that we have to foster our already growing health tech community, and how to use the data that we have in a better way. So the fifth challenge today is how to create a predictive police model. The next challenge today is how to automatically anonymize medical images, and it was put forward by Vilnius University Hospital, Santaros Klinikos, and collectively with the Ministry of Health of the Republic of Lithuania, and solution was created by the Ecosite. So Aiste and Rugile, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Aruna. So the amount of clinical data in electronic health systems is constantly increasing in Lithuania. These records include information about patient health, vaccinations, prescriptions, medical images, etc. At the same time, demand is increasing for secondary use of medical data by science, business, government, and others. For example, scientists need medical images to create and improve machine learning algorithms which would help to solve various health problems. Doctors could also use them when the second opinion is needed. Approximately 140,000 medical images are accumulated per month in Lithuania. To empower them as clinical data, they first need to be anonymized. Since there is no solution in the market, a tool should be developed that would process large volumes of medical images from different devices and anonymize them. We hope that such anonymization tool will open a potential of medical images for secondary use without huge time and human resources cost. Thank you. Rugile, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Asta. So my team, EcoSite, worked closely with the institution to deliver a product that would be useful in the daily practice of both hospital practitioners, engineers from medical side, and the doctors, as well as the scientists. Our focus in this challenge was purely radiographs or X-ray images. We have developed a fully automated program for radiographic picture anonymization in 2 months. I want to emphasize that this program is now being used by Santaros Clinic. Program is compatible with images acquired from all 30 X-ray machine providers that they use in Santaros Clinic. Medical images are called DICOMs. One of the biggest challenges is the sensitive information on top of the picture, which needs to be somehow hidden. Our machine learning algorithms detect the text and covers it so that all the sensitive information is hidden. As well, all the images has generic metadata which contains sensitive information about a patient and a hospital. Our software is able to recognize them and safely transform that information. The anonymization is done sufficiently to correspond to current DICOM standards. The program is being able to automatically anonymize the X-ray images. Doctors can easily select the pictures for anonymization, and the program does the task in several minutes, depending, of course, on the quantity of the pictures. One picture takes approximately 5 seconds to be anonymized, while previously it took several minutes to do the same task manually using programs such as Paint. Our software puts images into a separate folder, as you can see from the video, so the user has a seamless experience and easy user interface. The main benefits is that the end users are saving time on manual anonymization of every image. Startups and scientists can finally have their data and use it for machine learning algorithms and anything else, as Isa mentioned. After the anonymization, the actual image doesn't lose the quality, so it can be further analyzed. Ecos Anonymizer takes a DICOM file, decomposes it into metadata and the image data, anonymizes these two things separately, and puts it all back to the DICOM format. This is all done underwater, so the user doesn't see anything and has a good experience and fast anonymization. Our team is in a perfect position to continue this work. We have been together for more than 2 years now. Our team consists of data engineer and professional tester Eimantas, me, the manager of this project, as well as Vilius, who is our backend developer. He's working in top 10 Lithuanian startups. Martinas is our front-end developer which is also working in international companies, and Julius is our senior AI expert, as well as research professor in Vilnius University. We have previous experience developing similar solutions for our inner product, Ecosite. Sorry, but nobody can really pronounce the name of Ecosite. It's an automatic analysis of forest X-ray images. So all the radiographs that we took in our product are automatically anonymized before coming into the system, so that the personal data of horses and their owners and the doctors are protected. So what's next? Our next plan would be to look for financial projects as well as funding opportunities and public procurements in this space. We would love to continue working with more difficult images, with multi-frame images such as MRI, CT, ultrasound, and start implementation of these projects. We are asking for mutual funding opportunities as well. If you know other institutions that are facing similar challenges, please let us know. So let's reuse the medical images. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Rugila and Aiste. It's great to see the progress and the solutions being built. And first question, Rugila, is that you mentioned in the slides that you were working previously with anonymization of horses X-rays. Before this challenge series, why have you decided to expand your solution and work with human images? Have you already had this plan before, or was it some kind of a new opportunity that just popped up and maybe wasn't in your future plans before?
Thank you, Aruna, for a nice question. Honestly, it wasn't on our plan or future plans, but the opportunity, as you said, pop out, and we already were using this kind of system, so it was a bit easier for us to implement it, and I believe there's a big future after it.
And you were mainly, and you are mainly working with X-ray images both before and within this project with Santaros Clinics and the Ministry of Health. And are you planning to expand your program that can start anonymizing other type of medical images, or is it that kind of completely different sphere where completely different solutions are needed?
For this challenge, we wanted to create a solution that would be really useful and that they could take it and use it for their own. So that's why we chose, for 2 months, we chose that something that we can really give away. For the future, we would, it could be used, the same program with just more, let's say, technical aspects. And as well, the other images, the multi-framed images are a bit different, and it requires more attempts. So I believe it could be already created, but probably it's a little bit difficult. That's why it haven't been done yet.
Thank you. And we have a question from the audience. If I understand correctly, the question is, are there any numbers around how much data, and this is both for Rugila or Aiste, I'm not sure which one, if there is an answer, but how much data in one day, do you even need to kind of run through the system, or how many, I would guess, images or basically images as data, how much of it, how many of it do you expect or predict might be ran through the program in, for instance, one day?
Mm-hmm. So you can count. Well, I think this question has two ways. Like how many images are done in a day? So answering this one, it really depends, because there could come a startup and ask, I need all of the images of yours, and of course it will take, I don't know, a week or so, because there's plenty of it. Otherwise, you can count this program like can work unlimited with the extra missions. That's all.
Okay, so as many as there are kind of as many as images as there are taken during the day, as many of them you can anonymize. And just very quickly, the last question, although I know this is not going to be a quick question, but let's keep it short. Well, how do you plan to ensure the trust in the anonymity of data? People sometimes have they don't really trust that it's fully anonymized. Do you have any kind of other ideas how to actually ensure that people trust that this will be truly and fully anonymized?
Yeah, we were thinking about this, and we created some kind of programming scripts that when the algorithm thinks that it's not completely anonymized or something is wrong with the image, it pops out like these images are like, look at it, for the doctor or for the one that is. So those several images that the program is doubtful, the doctors or the ones needs to look it up.
Perfect. Well, thanks a lot, Regila and everyone else from all three teams working on this challenge, and wish you all the best. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
So we are almost halfway through today, and we now have the fifth challenge, which is how to create a predictive police model for police force management. And it was put forward by the Police Department of Lithuania and the solution created by Telesoftas and Vytautas Magnus University. So Arvidas and Thomas, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Aruna. More than 500,000 incidents are recorded each year for the police to respond to. 600 police force units are deployed every day to respond to those incidents. Large amounts of data are generated, including incident time, location, and type. We could use this data more efficiently with a solution based on artificial intelligence. The developed solution should make maximum use of the data, on the basis of which it should automatically provide suggestions on the need of the police force for a specified period of time, and help plan routes and locations of the forces. The solution should perform two main functions: submit a prediction of incidents, a proposal on how to plan the positioning of forces in terms of time and territory, and generate optimal routes, tasks for the forces, considering both the previously received data and the changing situation on the route. We hope that solution will help to speed up the response to incidents, reduce the number of crimes, and increase trust in the police. Thomas?
Also, thank you, Alvidas, for nice introduction of the problem. So basically, we did as you are supposed to do with such research problem. We did some investigation, we read some literature, looked at some tools, watched some movies, and Minority Report gives the best results. So you can use just precogs, and they can provide all the important information for you. So basically, we know what you plan if we are able to use this tool. Unfortunately, we were not able to find a right tool for our precogs, so we had to fall back to artificial intelligence. And of course, it can help a lot, and we experimented with it. So basically what we did, of course, we started with data analysis. So we looked at how police works and what's happening there. We even have visited police in Vilnius. We looked how we are perform all these processes, planning, operational environment, stuff like that. And we looked at the data. So it seems actually that police in Lithuania works quite well. So number of crimes is diminishing, and we looked at these different crimes. So there are quite a few locations where we have enough crimes to really good data analysis. Of course, it's good for society. It's good for almost everybody except data scientists who really need more data. So, but we try to extract from the data we have something as well. So here, for example, you can see some basic data analysis, or basic for us. So different geographical distribution of events, distribution events per day, per season, weekly events, etc., etc. So basically a lot of different things. And as I mentioned, these numbers diminishing, but still we have kind of enough of them. So based on these results, we applied a number of different tools. So starting from, general statistical analysis. So you look what's happening in which location, how these things change over time. And then we, of course, applied artificial intelligence tools. So we experimented with quite a high number of them. And for example, here on the left side, you can see some predictions by different predictors. So random forest, neural networks, whatever. And actually, we are still working on expanding them. In the middle, you can see distribution of some crimes. And actually on the right side is some route by one of the police teams. Actually, to see how it works, we even, let's say, in some sense, tested the police. So I participated in experiment myself a bit here in Druskininkai, and actually police is really fast. So basically, after we call, they arrive faster than they give in general statistics. And based on our research, we produce some results. So here you can already see dashboard from our tool. So here it's basically crime projection placed on Kaunas area, and you can see what's happening there, what you can expect in these locations. Of course, you can have very different time range, different locations, different filters on the crime, and general map where, again, you can look at different elements of the system. So I think that we have achieved quite interesting results. And of course, me and Alvydas, we are just presenting results. So we have quite a big team from Vytautas Magnus University, Telesoftas, and of course, police. So it was really joint work with strong participation of all the teams, and some people from police, I don't even know their names, but during meetings, we provided a lot of information. And actually, I would like, in addition, to thank Druskininkai police, who demonstrated how it works as well. So that's one of our team meetings. So you see that it was really active and a lot of people participated in that. And basically, of course, it's not the end, it's just the beginning of the project, because for sure, 10 weeks is not enough to prevent all the crimes. So now we prevent only some of them. But what we are planning to do, we are working on data augmentation. So we are talking with the statistics department, looking in different types of data. And actually today I have heard that Lithuania is going to provide a lot more open data. So it means that Lithuania will become a lot more safer country as well due to this data provided by governmental institutions. So I'll hold the Vice Minister on his word that we are going to get this data. And then, of course, we are going to expand, application of different statistical analysis of the data. Because if you want to identify very specific things or to predict, go to higher granularity or see more interesting results, you have to talk a lot with criminology experts. So actually we have some of them in our team, but still you have to talk with practitioners and actually to find a way how to answer the questions. So it's not really automatic. You have to think and develop what works the best in specific situation for specific problem. And of course, we are working on improvement of hotspots prediction. And we expect that we will be able to add some textual analytics to be able to, again, filter better different crimes, maybe perform deeper analysis and see what's happening there. So basically, we know what you plan, so behave. Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas and Alvydas. We have around 1 minute for question, and since we just talked a lot about the data, as I mentioned, with in the fireside chat, how easy it was for you to access the data. Were there any challenges related to that, or is it just that some of the data that you wish, for instance, just doesn't exist, for instance, or was there some issues in actually accessing it and so on?
Yeah, so actually, police provide that data surprisingly fast. So some companies, businesses are slower at that. So it seems that we are ready to provide this information. Of course, we still have to augment it. When it comes to other data, some data is easier to extract. Getting some data takes time. Some data we still don't know how to get. So it's a mix. So we expect that we will be able to get more of that.
Amazing. Well, we don't really have time for any more questions, but I think we'll see more of these solutions in the future, more opportunities to ask the questions or comment as well. So thanks a lot again, Thomas and Alvydas. Amazing work over the past 10 weeks, very quick and very ambitious. Thanks a lot. So the next challenge of today is how to automate the tax complaint submission. And it was submitted, the challenge, by the Tax Dispute Commission, and the solution presented by Etronica, member of the NRD companies. So Dagne and Michaelas, the stage is yours.
Thank you. So when you receive a small shipment from China, which you can pick up only after paying the appropriate taxes, due to the high numbers of orders, there's a big chance that the tax administrator will make a mistake. The question is, how can these and any other decisions of the tax administrator be appealed smoothly and quickly? At present, taxpayers apply to the Commission in writing or by email for decisions taken by the tax administrator against them. And often the taxpayers are forced to consult with lawyers due to the lack of legal knowledge and relevant qualifications. We hope that from now on, taxpayers, in particular residents as well as a small and medium-sized business, for example, small coffee shops or bakeries, will have the tool to easily and smoothly file a complaint against the tax assessed by the tax administrator. We aim to automate and simplify the process of appealing against a decision unfavorable to the taxpayer with the help of technology, make it more convenient, avoid unnecessary bureaucracy. Michaelas?
Okay, thank you, Dagne. So let me just find how to switch the presentation. Okay, so we, the team of Etronica, provide digital enabler solutions for financial services, retail and public organizations. And our team has worked with Tax Dispute Commission to solve this challenge. We really wanted to create a simple taxpayer-oriented system for handling the complaints. And we are the taxpayers, not legal, not the lawyers. So for us, it was also interesting how to handle the situation. So what we tried to do, first we came as a technology company, but then we saw that we need to shift from the technology purely into process support, process reengineering to make the things happen. So we applied low-code approach. We used the design thinking methodology or elements of that to build something feasible, to draft the future integrations map and to see how the infrastructure demands of the customer can be solved. It was also interesting for us that Tax Disputes Commission, it doesn't have any internal IT persons, so we had to act as internal IT in some cases. So just looking into the progress, we have been working in terms of process diagrams and transformation of them. And while we went through that, we had 6 different workshops or workshop-style sessions, mainly with Tax Disputes Commission, to discuss the demands, how the things can be arranged, how the process can flow. We had more than 15 interim solution versions before we came into the final pilot. We had 3 milestone presentations, and not all of them have been internal. So, for example, we had a presentation for National Courts Administration to discuss how the complaint information can move on. So what is the outcome? You can see that on the screen right now. We have built a tax complaint submission application. Currently, it's focused more on the complaint towards the state tax inspectorate, but it can, based on very basic input, generate quite a volume of documents, of legal documents. It uses some decision trees to help the customer to choose the right subject of the complaint and the reasons, for example, for the complaint. And we have also simulated the workplaces of the Tax Disputes Commission, of the Tax Inspectorate, so to see the whole flow, how that can work. So with that, we have prototyped the taxpayer's journey in the system. We have created the minimal viable input set required for tax complaint, so not to overwhelm the taxpayer. We have worked a bit with the Tax Dispute Commission on generating legal text based on very basic input from non-familiar user. And what Dagny has mentioned with the current new regulation of the small parcels, it led us also to the idea that we might need to handle even smaller cases, what we call micro complaints. So the complaint just, for example, for the parcel tax calculation, and that is doable. So if moving next, what could be done, it's first of all the complete process revision based on the pilot insights and how this could work. It's also defining the cases for micro complaints, because that will help to ask for a lot of input from the end user, and just to minimize that and to simplify the case handling. And it's also about a lot of IT stuff to make everything working, because we haven't been we have been doing some IT work, but we haven't been working on the integrations and so on. So we have kind of roadmap where 4 or 5 different institutions should be included, and it means integrations with all of them. It means reference data providers, identity, and so on. So this is something which could happen in the future if Tax Disputes Commission decides to follow this road. And important lesson for us was about cultural patterns or language patterns. And well, we are speaking English now. We have been using Lithuanian commonly with the customer, but it was also the legal language that our team doesn't understand, even if it's Lithuanian legal language, and it took time for us to understand, to get the translations right. So at least with this customer, it's all very important to have the common language pattern to understand what has to be done and how it could be done. Another thing is the invisible part of the complaint handling. The visible is when I'm, as a taxpayer, am filing the complaint. Invisible is when it is being handled by the inspectorate. So this approach seems to work with the Tax Disputes Commission. And if your organization would like to look how the low-code approach will work for you, let's talk, let's visualize, let's prototype, and let's see how we can help you. Thank you.
Amazing. Thanks a lot, Mikhailas and Dagny. And let's move straight to the questions. And the first question I'd like to ask is that you worked a lot on making sure that the people don't need to have like high legal literacy to be able to file a complaint. And what is from, how much of a technical literacy and what level of technical literacy they would need to have to use this kind of solution, or that kind of literacy is also not needed and it's very intuitive and does not require any kind of technical skills?
You see, from the beginning on, we've aimed to have a solution which will not require any special technical literacy. So wizard-based solution where you just enter the data that you know, or you can find maybe on some letter you received from tax administrator, and that should be it. And we believe that can happen, because we all are taxpayers, and I myself, colleagues of mine, we have been testing what we've got. So I haven't heard any claims that they don't understand what should be inputted here or there.
Amazing. And we have a question from the audience as well. Do similar kind of solutions or standards around that exist at the EU level or in other EU countries? Do other countries in the EU have, for instance, similar challenges as was proposed here?
Well, I think that all the countries have similar challenges when talking about tax complaints. We haven't heard about any EU country which would have the simplification of this level. What we've heard from Tax Disputes Commission is that in Canada, there are some mobile applications for filing in tax complaints for some special cases. So this was also our goal, to have something simple to use.
Amazing. And you already mentioned around the parcels and the complaints around the taxes there. Any other opportunities that this tool could, where it could move forward in the future? Where could it be used as well?
So with our solution, we see that it can help different public authorities. Like we have been working with Tax Disputes Commission. There is also Administrative Disputes Commission, which is doing very similar work, but in much larger volumes. But generally looking, it could fit also different scenarios inside various public organizations.
Perfect. Well, I hope they're listening as well. And thanks a lot again, Dagne and Michaelis, for your work. And let's hope to see more of this in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we actually reached the end of the second of the 3 parts of our event today. And when we listen to today's pitches, it is important to recognize the wider trend towards the impact-driven startups and entrepreneurs. And to hear more about that, I'd like to invite Sandra Goldbrich, CEO and co-founder of Baltic Sandbox, Alex Gibb, co-founder and partner at Catalysta Ventures, as well as Elias Chivilis, who have already met in the previous fireside chat, who will be the moderator of this one. So the virtual microphone is yours.
Hey, thank you, Aruna. Excited to be back with 2 very interesting people to facilitate this conversation. And the conversation is going to be about a very interesting point. For many years, we've seen technologies being as an instrument that was used for the corporations or governments to achieve their personal goals, right? But then recently, in one of the researches around the Sustainable Development Goals, appears like 2/3 of those goals can be resolved, or at least significant progress can be done by technologies. So on one hand, those challenges like poverty or climate change can be actually prevented or limited with the technology impact. So we see nowadays that technologies are not just the instrument for the corporations or the governments, but this is an instrument for the society, for having tax for the good or for the positive social impact. And for this very sophisticated topic, I would like to have my 2 dear panelists to have a conversation around. So I have Sandra, and I see her now, and I'm also having Alex. Alex, are you with us?
I'm here. You should be able to see me on the video as well. I'm live and with you.
Fantastic. So we have Alex and we have Sandra. Hello, Sandra.
Hi, pleasure to meet you all, and it's great to be here.
Fantastic. So you 2 guys, you've been here already for several years, right? And you've seen how this whole startup landscape evolves in the country, in the region, and also most probably worldwide. So would you give us, any personal views on, is that changing or not over the last few years in regards to the tech for good or social impact type of focuses? So Sandra, what about you?
From what we see, it definitely changes when we started talking about sustainability in probably 2018. Very few startups could actually recognize the word sustainability, what it means, and what is impact about. And everyone thought that, okay, impact startups are basically doing something directly with the green energy or dealing directly with the climate change and nothing else. However, in 2021, we see that sustainability should be part of the startup's DNA, and everything that every startup is doing, regardless if they are working on the climate change or they're working on, or they're building an app to book hotels, they have to put sustainability first, and they have to think about it while initially building the products. And from what we see on the market, it's actually happening, and especially when the new startups are coming to the market, they are more and more thinking about how the things that they're doing is actually impacting the world and is actually impacting their society. So tech is not only about money yet, and tech is not only about unicorns, but it's also about mission, and it's also about impact.
That's interesting view. And Alex, have you observed any changes over the last years?
Sure, I would definitely agree with what Sandra's saying. I think one of the key trends really probably in the past 10 years has been this sense of entrepreneurs and startups actually wanting to make more than just money. And this has been a really exciting sort of movement, I would say, in Lithuania. And we saw sort of two emerging themes. Very often it was people wanted to have either a social impact or either an environmental impact, and possibly try and make money on that as well. But very few actually thought about all three things together. And this is really where we came up with the concept of promoting triple top line, or people, planet, and profit. So how can we actually help those startups to shift and do more than just one of the three or two of the three, and getting that full picture. So that's a really nice shift to see, and I think that's a change in society. We're seeing much more awareness of sustainability, and especially the younger generation are really much more engaged in that. So I think this is a sort of positive high level trend, and this will only continue, I hope, into the future as we address more of the real the global grand challenges that we're really facing together, and that do need more than just the startup ecosystem to solve them.
Well, so what I hear from you both guys, that for sure this is what's happening now in the environment, but I just wonder, what's the implication of this? I mean, what's the implication for raising your I don't know, funds or selling your idea? Because it's quite sometimes difficult, to combine those two goals. So what would be your view on this? Alex?
Well,
yeah, Sandra, please.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. So if we're actually looking at the trends, if we're looking at the bigger venture funds, not those who are investing at the very early stage, but those who are coming after, all of them are switching to some sort of investing in sustainable startups. For example, if we are talking about UN sustainability goals, and we are talking about diversity, right? So we are looking, we have to be looking at diverse teams in the startups, not the typical like all men team. And this trend is shifting. I mean, it's not. It will take like 10 more years to reach the full diversity, or 20 more years to reach the full diversity in the startups, but it's getting better over the years. Another thing is when a lot of venture funds said no to everything which might be connected to fossil fuels and other technologies that can potentially harm the planet. So when startups are building their product, they have to think about the impact first, because this would definitely be the questions from the investors that would invest in the startup. Another thing is the society is looking for some sort of like sustainable business model and some impact on the community. and impact on the community can actually be monetized by new economy, by new economical models, because like society is adapting at the end of the day. We've all seen that COVID happens and everything was on the standstill for a couple of months, and then the world just started changing. So startups that will adopt all the changes early, that will start changing now in 3 to 5 to 7 years, they will get probably the best possible European investors, and they will raise much more money than startups that don't even think about impact and sustainability. And it should be taken into account very early, because once you already have some sort of a business model and development startup, it's pretty uneasy to implement the sustainability thing. And also it kind of looks like greenwashing, you know.
Well, Sandra,
I would agree, Sandra. If I can continue, Elio, you know, I think this sense of there are a lot of the VCs regionally that are starting to sort of think about, okay, SDGs and some kind of ESG impact, that is environmental and social and governance, you know, having that almost as a hygiene factor. And I really think that yes, as startups are growing, there will be, you know, definitely more access to funding, and more funds are sort of going green and attracting green money. So this is also a very, very good trend. I think in Lithuania, we're kind of lucky at the moment that there's plenty of early stage money around. And that also sort of tips the balance a little bit, that a lot of the funds are thinking, well, you know, it'll be nice if they do something good, but let's just see the traction. Let's see some potential revenue here, and then we can really, you know, think about this later. So there's a bit of let's say fat to be cut out here in that sense, but very positive about that going in the right direction for sure.
I really liked, Sandra, that you mentioned about that this is not any longer, you know, male only white guys doing, you know, profit-driven ideas, but this is now different. Would you guys be able to describe how would, you know, perfectly shaped startup would look like in terms of, you know, the composition of the team, the you know, strategy, the location? I mean, any of the characteristics that could actually help for those early stage startups to start shaping their own setups. So any thoughts?
Sure. So maybe I can start with this one. So we've been working with a startup called Earthbank, and this has been part of the Rocket Impact Accelerator that we've been running for the last few months here at the Rocket co-working space. And this, I like to bring this one in as well, because it's also a good example of partnerships with government agencies and NGOs as well. And Earthbank has seen that there's a real shift in regulation happening at the banking level. And I think it's from next year, I don't remember the date exactly, but from next year onwards, banks will be required to disclose the carbon footprint of their loan books. So, you know, Swedbank, whoever it is, whoever they're lending to, they need to know, you know, what is the carbon footprint of that company that we're lending to, and how can we manage that? And of course, over time, banks will be more and more penalized for lending to these dirty companies. So Earthbank has set up as a venture across borders. So some of the team is in Australia, some of the team is in Sweden. They've got a good gender balance. They've got Chinese, Vietnamese, Indian, all in this team of 8. So really a really nice international mix coming to the front. And they've built the technology on a partnership with the European Space Agency. So the European Space Agency is bringing in satellite data to understand, you know, how are trees growing in certain areas where they're doing carbon offsets. What is the extraction of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, and really being able to you know, in a very scientific way, actually measure this and provide the balance and the offsets for the bank's businesses. So I think this is a really nice example of the team. They're really sort of mission focused. They see you know, global warming as a grand challenge that they want to solve. They see that their expertise in the banking area is really makes them very, very well placed to solve this problem. And then they put this team together working across borders, working with us in Lithuania is a real way to actually accelerate their growth, traction, and adoption of the technology. And this is what we're looking for.
All right. So I hear that it's really important to be the international and then collaborative with the ecosystem partner. But what's your, Sandra, tips for the setup? How the perfectly aligned startup would look like?
Yeah, so diversity is not a social matter anymore. It's an economical matter, and it's proven. So diverse teams are actually getting 32 higher % of return on the investment than the undiverse teams, and about like twice in dividends if the team has male and female founders. It's still the problem in Europe. If we're looking at the latest numbers, if we would be looking at the total funding in 2020 that went to startups, 1% went to female-only teams, 17% went to male and female diverse teams, and everything else, crazy 82% went to male all teams of 35 plus in age and 3 founders, like typical picture. The thing is that diversity is not only about gender, diversity is also about age, diversity is also about culture. And when the team is really diverse in terms of, for example, age, so the founders are from 20 to 50 and they manage to work together and they manage to share experience. If they're coming from different cultural environments and they're able to do something together, to solve problems together, it actually impacts the life of the startup, the survival rates. Not to mention that there are some specific areas for for example, we are now addressing a lot of silver tech. It's a technical solution for senior citizens, right? And not for senior citizens to be taken care of, like on the medical level, but for senior citizens to make their life better, to make their life meaningful, to help their like mental health issues and things like this. And if we are talking about startups building the tech for the senior citizens, the startup of 24 or 25-year-old guys is just unable to do it, right? Because they have no idea about the needs of those people. So in this case, when we are looking at different startups from different regions, it's really important to us that the team would be diverse in age, that they would have like people of 55 plus and people of 20 plus, like working all together on something. And at the end of the day, I mean, the venture, despite being like innovative and everything, the venture world is very traditional and it's very old-fashioned. So investors found some sort of like typical VCs found some sort of the founders they're looking for some sort of, biases that they have, and they live and work according to these biases. But there are more and more funds in Europe, especially the big funds, who are not afraid to change their perspective in terms of the founders, who are not afraid to build very diverse teams in terms of age, gender, ethnicity, everything. And they see that they're actually winning from it in terms of return on their investment. So what we would be seeing in the next 10 years, that more and more teams would be diverse, and probably at one point it would be some sort of the venture funds criteria in the first place, diverse teams.
Okay, that's a really interesting point. And now that you mentioned that those investors are yet quite traditional, but do you guys see, the increase in the investment in those tech for good startups compared to what it was several years ago?
Simple yes, definitely a simple yes. I think that we see one particular shift that we're trying to facilitate in the social area is that there are a lot of organizations which essentially set themselves up as social enterprises. And there's still kind of too much of a dependence on either grant funding or government funding to maintain them. So essentially, they're not, sustainable in the financial sense. And then it's very hard if you're constantly depending on grants and not able to make a business case for the social impact. So that's one thing that I think is still out there, but can be we can do much more in that area. So that's one. And then there's another thing. We recently did a survey of how the different startups in Lithuania are impacting SDGs. And there are still very, very few of the startups that are tackling issues like hunger, zero hunger, clean water and sanitation, or life on land. So a lot of this, a lot of these problems are still not being addressed. This is definitely a trend that we're seeing globally as well. But I still think there are some incredible opportunities there. And if anything, it's my wish to see more and more of the students coming out of the different faculties in the university with a specialist skill, maybe in chemical engineering, electrical engineering, whatever that is, and then being able to think, okay, how can we harness that talent? How can we empower them to run startups and really have an impact? Because they're the specialists. They know a lot of these challenges, and as Sandra said, they can get out and tackle the needs of that target group, even if they're not part of it.
Alex, I think you know where the possibility lies, actually, because as you know, a lot of startups are targeting the problems. The best startups who are ever doing things, they are targeting the problems that are very close to them personally. Something happened in their life, and this is why they started solving this problem. And definitely, like in Lithuania, for example, we don't have this problem of famine or clear water or something. But again, coming back to the diversity, if we're building teams, for example, with the startups from some African continent or startup founders or Latin America or something, combining them with the Lithuanian founders and solving the problem all together, there would be definitely someone in this team who would be experiencing this problem, him or herself. And this way, actually, local startup founders can apply their experience, and startup founders from other countries can apply their experience, and they can build a really bulletproof solution for something.
Fully agree. Yeah, so that's reminded me of another example. So we have two data scientists, female data scientists from Nigeria working with us at the moment. They've come as part of the Africo organization's initiative to strengthen the Nigerian and the Lithuanian tech ecosystems together through mutual exchange. So exactly what you're saying, we really see that when they're in and problem solving around a certain issue, there's a real richness in that, and it's extremely rewarding. So fully, yeah.
Yeah, I think this is a brilliant example on how we can benefit from working in these wider ecosystems and connecting those together. But I'm really looking forward for your personal, touch on what exactly you're looking for with startups yourself, because you are working every day with those, right? So what it is that you are looking for?
So then maybe I can jump in again, and I think what Sandra said is really important in the sense of this personal experience of solving a problem. So for me, it's now, where are those people who are maybe 30 to 50 who have worked in an industry or in government and seen a problem and thought, I can see there's a problem there and I can solve that. And that's really a fantastic starting point for me. We have a lot of people who come and say, hey, I'm going to build the next Facebook or something like this. But this is not so exciting. It's really this connection with the need and understanding with a need. And once we can help them to harness that, then it's very easy to sort of build, the whole startup thinking around that need and forming the team and going from there. So yeah, it's people coming with identifiable, quantifiable, qualifiable problems and saying, yes, I'm passionate about solving this. I would love to do that. So that's the start of my journey for taking them on and becoming triple top line and having a positive impact on all three levels.
Yeah, I can completely relate to this one, because when you're investing in early stages, when you're working with the startups on the early stages, it's definitely about the people. It's never about the product, right? Because product can change like 10 times, they can pivot, they can do whatever. So you actually choose people to work with. And from the start, yes, it's the personal investment in the problem, because those startups, they're kind of not afraid of the hardships, whatever happens, crisis, coronavirus, everything. If the startup founders are in there for money or for being famous or for building a unicorn, they just like won't survive this like hard times. They will collapse. But if the startup founders are personally invested in something, I have a couple of examples from my portfolio. For example, we are talking about Zeno startup who are building like sustainable and healthy nutrition system for the dogs. The founders of the startup, they have 5 dogs. They are adopting the dogs from the shelters, and they're personally invested in their health, and it's very important for them. Same with the other startups. For example, one of our next portfolio startups is building the whole ecosystem for the blind people, and it's there for a reason, because one of the founders has a blind stepfather, another has blind mother, and the third founder is blind himself. So they know what they're doing, they know why they're doing, and they're investing a lot of it. And also things, what I'm looking at the teams is diversity, open mind, and ability to fail and to rise from the fail, because it's important. Startups will fail. It's never, you know, a smooth journey. And some sort of inner desire or making the world better, making some impact, changing something. It's never about money. It's not only about the money.
And it's a really, sorry to interrupt, it's a really good point. I mean, no idea that anyone ever brings is ever going to work out exactly as they bring it. I mean, it's a common fallacy, but yeah, never happens. It never happens.
All right. You most probably already saw yourself that the GovTech Challenge series, we have very different teams. We have well-established companies, we have recently established startups, and also the people who are about to establish, you know, a formal team, you know, to move forward. So what would be your, you know, final advices for them focusing on those social impact problems? Because the GovTech in many cases is not about, you know, the unicorn you just mentioned, but this is rather solving real life problems that would benefit the whole society. So what would be your advices for those people who are about to establish?
I can start because I worked with the startups who are building the solutions for the government as a part of Changemaker on mentorship programs, and I talked to a lot of startups like this. And I think their common mistake is when they're building the product, they're relying on the governments as the only and only possible clients. And sometimes it doesn't happen like this. Sometimes government doesn't have the funds, the budget, the way to purchase their solution or something. So if startups actually want to build some sustainable products, some products that would impact the society, the community, everything, they should first of all think of another ways of monetizing it. And really often they just don't see them because they're so focused on the governments that they just can't realize that there might be much more beneficiaries of something around them. This educational platform for the children from the unfortunate families, and they were mostly focused on education and financing and everything. For the teenagers, basically. And they said, like, we're not sure if government is going to give us money for this program, but it's very important. And I said, like, look, it's not only government who can benefit from it. Who's providing the financial services to people? Those are banks, right? So who could be your potential customers who would be sponsoring your educational programs and everything? This would be banks or some financial institutions because they have this direct interest in it. So think about more than governmental beneficiaries around your startup, and think about alternative business models. That's how you will become bulletproof, because you can't rely on one customer only.
Thanks. That's really a practical suggestion. And Alex, what would be your take?
Yeah, I mean, it's just as a final point, really, to complement that, what Sandra's saying, and if anything to add, just sort of the stronger and the better the understanding of the need and where that is, whether that's in the GovTech sector or whether that's in a parallel universe, wherever that is, the more you can really understand the need, that pain, solving that pain is the critical thing, because as soon as you can identify the pain, quantify it, qualify it, it's so much easier to actually sell it to someone as a solution, and that's really a sort of a golden nugget to aim for. So yeah, I wish everyone involved the very best of luck, of course.
Hey, Sandra, Alex, I highly appreciate your really practical suggestions and practical experience that you shared with us, and really much appreciate for this conversation. So Aruna, turning back to you.
Thank you, and thank you, Sandra, Alex, and Elius for such an engaging fireside chat. And as Elius mentioned, a lot of specific examples, specific advices that we hope that the team here today will take on and will act on. So now let's take a look at the last 4 solutions that were created during this 3rd GovTech Challenge series. And the next challenge is how to automate the detection of illegal gambling operators online. And the challenge was proposed by the Gaming Control Authority, and solution was created by Codemy, who are already an alumni of our previous program, actually. So Tadas, Laimonas, the stage is yours.
Hello, thank you for introduction. As it was mentioned, my name is Tadas Kaluna. I represent the Lithuanian Gaming Control Authority. We are a main institution who implements state policy in the area of gaming and conduct gaming control to ensure that games are transparent and we are protecting rights for the players and legal interests. One of the activities which we do is blocking illegal operators who operate in Lithuania without license. This activity causes huge money laundering risks, taxes are not paid, and interests of gamblers are not protected. The process to block legal operators is simple. We prepare similar bunch documents for each website. It's routine, stenciled, and standardized work. Usually it takes one specialist to block one website per week. To achieve desirable results, 3 specialists must be involved in this process all the time. We hope that the prototype created by Codemy will help reduce the workload of the specialists and increase the number of block sites, and the fewer specialists, hope it's only one, and less work hours will be required to do this job. I will give a word to Laimonas.
Okay, so thank you, Tadas, for explaining the issue. I will try to elaborate about what happened next when our team, Codemy, joined this challenge. And let me check. Yeah, the slides are moving. So a short introduction from our side. Today, me and Dominikas and a few other team members in the chat are presenting our team. And the fact that Rune already mentioned, we are participating in GovTech Challenge a 2nd time because we really like the idea of businesses joining forces with governmental institutions to create something good for Lithuania. So thank you for doing that. But now let's get back to the problem and the solution that we come up during this 10 weeks period of time. So as we sat down with the Gaming Control Authority, we saw that the problem is really big, in fact. So we, in discussion, figure out what we can do in 10 weeks that could be already useful for the authority. So in this case, it would be a browser extension that is always active for the employee, for the specialist in his window, in his browser, that helps to collect evidences in both written form as well as screenshots that are further passed into the documents. Well, the evidences are filled into those documents in general. I'd like to share my screen really quickly to show that how that works in practice. So I hope you can see my browser view right now. I have to type a few information slots over here
for example, in this case, I had to write my name and surname if that's necessary, my employee code or what is needed there. And there are some segments that require some information. In some cases, those are screenshots. In some cases, those are maybe text information. So for the sake of keeping it simple as for a demo, I'll grab only a few bits of information, for example, a screenshot like this. And I know that in this particular website, let's stop here. There are various types of gamblings. I'm not really sure what games falls under those categories right now, but I will grab a screenshot of that as well as an evidence. And there are some really necessary information, mostly in About Us pages, where, for example, the gaming provider has its license. I can get that information via a contextual menu like this. So it's going to be license number. I think this is the address. I can get that information like this. Now I can see everything in this form, only those things that I collected. I can create a document, and here is another part of the prototype. This document could be automatically picked up by another process, but for the demo, I can see that I have a document just newly created, and I'll click a few buttons. It says the report is generated. I'm going to get to the folder of those reports, and both of those Word files are now filled with information I just gathered. So either it would be that website that I just visited and the bits of information I managed to get, or the other file is with screenshots. And there are a few other things that we need to fill in, but for the sake of well, demo and simplicity, I kept it like this. Now about what's coming next in this GovTech challenge, and for us and for the authority, I think. Well, we are ready to give out our prototype for the testing. I'm sure there are going to be some bits of that require some fixing, but besides that, we would like to definitely continue our communication and try to tackle all those things that we left outside the prototype right now. So, and mainly it would be automated website search of that possibly illegal gambling providers, and then to develop a tooling that would dive deeper into one website and collect all the necessary evidences, as I show you right now, doing manually, and of course make a product out of that. And well, by having the honor to speak in this event right now, I would also like to say that we gathered our team with an idea to keep our internet a bit cleaner. So if you share the same interests, so please contact us. We are given email, and we would be more than happy to talk with you. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Laimonas and Tadas. That was very interesting to see the practical presentation of the demo as well. And while we wait for the questions from the audience, one question from me is, what do you think is the main benefit for this solution for the government institution? Is it time saved, or accuracy? What are kind of the main selling points that you would argue are for this kind of solution?
Yeah. So for this particular prototype, I would say it's the saving of time, and having one tool that collects it helps you to collect all the information and automatically produces those Word reports. And there are a few others of them besides the ones I showed. So it's time saving. But looking in that bigger picture, things that we left out for now because of time constraints. There's also the volume comes into play because we can automate way more steps than we actually did right now. So we would be more than happy to do that.
And where do you think, you mentioned in your call to action, other governmental organizations, do you see any kind of other functions from, either from the Gaming Control Authority or other government organizations that do or undertake similar process that could use maybe not the same solution, but the same principles of the solutions?
Yeah, of course, I cannot name the authorities from my mind because I don't even know the names in English of them. But for example, the previous institution, the Office of Inspector of Journalist Ethics, probably that's the name. It has some components that also would be in this bigger solution. So for example, collecting information from internet, well, automate the extraction of information from internet, as well as producing to prod. So that communicate, well, faster navigation in the space of internet, which is really broad these days. So that's the main issue I see.
Amazing. Well, thanks a lot, Laimonas and Tadas. And yeah, as always, hope that other organizations are listening and taking notes and can automate their own similar functions as well. And we'll get in touch. Thanks again.
Thank you.
So the already eighth challenge today was put forward by the Information Society Development Committee, and it is called How to Measure the Quality of Digital Government in an Innovative Way. And we worked with the EY Baltics to figure out a solution. So Žydrūnas and Ruta, the mic and the screen is yours.
Thank you, Arune. Governmental institutions provide more than 600 electronic services at e-government portal. Most of them scattered, difficult to find and understand, even receive. At the same time, it's difficult to manage and improve the e-services because they are electronic and not digital. Public e-services have to be easily accessed, simply obtained and delivered quickly. We as an overseeing body need to make sure that public services are standardized and digitalized, to guide agencies via framework on how to measure digital services to ensure improved service quality. We hope the blueprint will make a breakthrough within the public market, where efficiency of the services will be improved through digitalization, satisfied citizens will get the public services faster, and the institution will improve digital service quality based on the actual data. Ruta, I would like to ask you to join the presentation.
Thank you, Žydrūnai. Indeed, what Žydrūnas described is national-wide challenges that impact many different citizens, businesses, and other stakeholders. I'm sure that everyone who is on this conference can relate to those challenges. And therefore, together with the client, with Information Society Development Committee, we further detailized and defined the four major user and management groups of digital services and defined what are their needs. And let's listen to the voice of one of the typical users, Karolis, who is the citizen and the businessman.
Hello. I'm Carlos. I'm a businessman working in retail. I use public services 3 or 4 times per month for personal and business purposes. For example, registration for the hospital, or renewing the driving license, or cutting the tree in the yard, or receiving the business license, or filling in the declaration. I want to get public services that are simple and do not use too much of my time. Services that are intuitive and similar across agencies. Services that do not ask for data, which I already provided before. And ideally, that they are initiated and even provided automatically and proactively by the government.
So most of us can relate to the pains and needs to this voice of Karolis. And similarly, we also discussed and identified the needs of other typical user groups. of digital public services, so the agency that provides services, policymakers at the ministries who need data, the Information Society Development Committee, who is the policy implementer and the owner of the Digital Services Gateway in Lithuania. So having all these challenges and needs in mind, that the solution that our team proposes as a first step, is a blueprint that would support agencies in their journey to improve digital services. The blueprint is a methodology and in the future as well as a tool. It could be called Digital Services Accelerator. It decomposes the service that agency provides and helps to answer certain questions. So to start with, for example, have I as agency considered the typical building blocks of a digital service? Have I considered that the service process does not stop when the user gets the result, but actually there is so much data collected that it could feed into the future interactions? Next, have me as an agency considered the typical steps of the digital service that could be automated, digitalized, and haven't I forgotten, for example, to pre-fill certain fields? Haven't I forgotten to ask for feedback from the user, not only at the end of the service, but more frequently? Moving forward, have me as an agency considered the typical user experience that the digital service should support? And we as users are actually already privileged and are used to the e-commerce. And for example, have me as agency really thought how my users could track the service provision? Moving next, have me as agency considered the data? We really, together with the VPK, we thought that data is really at the core of this blueprint. The agency should consider have they really thought of all the data that could enable the delivery of digital service, but at the same time also support the digital service analytics. So to give just a few examples, if I am authenticated with my name and surname, do I have to enter this name and surname once again? Or to give a few examples from analytic perspective. So do as agency, I know where my users drop. Yes, so what is the dropout rate at each and every step? So this all feeds into the dashboards, into certain indicators that could also support the decision making and improve the services. Finally, this blueprint also helps to answer the question, have I as agency considered technology that could enable the delivery and measurement of the digital service? And technology in a wide sense, the global best practices as well as the national enablers that are available, for example, in Lithuania or other countries. So this blueprint, to give just maybe a hint what illustratively it could mean, that the blueprint is applicable for all agencies, but for the specific agency, it should answer its own questions. So how I could use it to improve my services? What should I not forget? When discussing, we thought, anyways, it's about the needs of the users. And as Žydrūnas mentioned, we really believe it's a first step to also achieve the impact. So following the implementation of this blueprint, the services may better address the needs of Karolis or any other typical users. Talking about the next steps. The next steps start with enabling ecosystem, and it's a lot about presenting and communicating to government agencies, further getting their feedback and ownership of this solution, enhancing the blueprint technically, piloting it, testing with government agencies, and rolling out it as a National Digital Service Improvement Accelerator in Lithuania and beyond. And of course, some other long-term initiatives could be attached to this. With this, I would like to finish, and the team behind the blueprint is here to answer the questions. I think relating to the fireside talk that was just before, the whole team was very active. The faces you see here was not theoretical faces. We really participated in multiple co-design sessions, and I think both as professionals and as citizens, we very well related to the problem and the needs. So thank you.
Thanks a lot. And we have a minute or two for questions. And I actually really like the name of the improving the accelerator, and actually use it to improve the digital services. But for you, what do you see? What kind of impact you wish you could see, after the project? What for you would be the perfect result, like in a year or half a year, that you would think, okay, this has definitely been the success and made, these 10 weeks made its mark, on Lithuania's public sector?
Okay, that's a great question. I think every professional is asking the same question. So for us as a team, I think the good result in a year's period is to start communicating and start receiving ownership from the agencies, because it's not an easy task. We worked with the VPK, who is the policy implementer, one of the agencies in Lithuania, but at the very, ultimately it's about all the agencies accepting the same principles. Only then, when those agencies really believe that this is the solution that can change services in Lithuania, the change will happen. Only then the services could become unified, structured and provided in a user-centric manner. So I think that the best is really to get the ownership, and it's not about technology at the end. It's really more about the principles and agreeing in the government sector.
Thanks, and it was very nice to see that actually your and the VPK project was more about methodology and not just the technical bits that other challenges might be more about. So it was great to see that different kind of types of challenges and solutions then build over the 10 weeks. And I hope you had a great experience. And unfortunately, we don't really have more time, so I have to move forward. But thanks again, Ruta, Žydrūnas, and everyone from such a big and engaging team for being with us and for sharing your expertise. Thanks a lot. And now we will have two challenges where Lithuania's public sector institutions worked with startups and companies from abroad to test innovative GovTech solutions. And the first of these is a challenge how to archive data from state information systems. It was put forward by the Office of the Chief Archivist of Lithuania and is being solved by Keep Solutions from Portugal. So Irma and Luis, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Aruna. Today, public sector institutions are producing less paper or electronic documents and increasingly managing information through state information systems and registers. There are almost 400 information systems and registers in Lithuania, of which about 100 store extremely valuable information. And the problem is that this documentary information is managed only in state information resources and is not transferred to preserve in state archives. In order not to lose information, it is important to keep not only electronic documents or paper documents, but also records and related data from information systems and registers. The aim of this challenge is to find an effective solution for the transfer of data from state information resources to the state archives for storage, so that this information would be preserved and accessible for historical and other research purpose. Thank you. Luis?
Thank you. Irma. Well, the problem of archiving data from information systems is not local to Lithuania, nor it is local to institutions that are public. Private institutions have the same issue. So we have been confronted with this issue for the past 15 years and been working together with this with institutions around the world in a solution. So for the specific challenge that the Office of the Chief Archivist of Lithuania brought us, there is an application that keeps important information for an unnamed state institution. This is backed up by a database and has related files. To archive this information, we produce documentation on the original application, but more importantly, export the database content and related files into a preservation format named CIARD. A preservation format is a format that is adequate to maintain information for at least several decades. Adding to this, some metadata and finding aids can be added to enable search and identify the content later on. So we take all of this and package into EARC submission information package, again, another standard, which brings together data, metadata, and manifests to properly transfer the content to the archive. On the archive side, the package is received by the archival software, has a thorough validation on reception, and it's added to an online catalog. The archival users can then use the catalog to find the information and which can be in several formats. But in case there are in database format or CIARD format, they can be loaded into a specialized viewer to browse, search, and export to common usable formats like Excel. So this is just one example possible to achieve with a tool ecosystem. These are all open source tools developed by us and maintained and supported by us, Keep Solutions. And they have several purposes. So one of those tools is Rodain, is a tool for producers and even archivists to wrap information to be packaged and transferred into the repository on a submission information package format. The repository itself, which is the implementation of the archive, is mainly supported by RODA, a long-term digital repository solution for long-term digital preservation. It delivers the functionality for all the requirements of a proper archive, which includes several ISOs specific to this area. Added to this, you can add support or integrate with these systems several tools. One of those set of tools are for database support. Desktop application to save the database, which can be Oracle, MySQL, SQL Server, and so on, into a preservation format, validate it, browse it, search it, and then a web application that serves as this viewer that allows to browse and search for multiple users around the world or around the country, several large preserved databases at once. So how do the tools actually look like? They are all available on the web browser, so to achieve easy access to the tools. Here is an example of one of the main pages of RODA, the search page, where you can search as in basic or Google-like search through all the records, including metadata and even the content within the files. And you can include here advanced search, which is a completely customizable way that fits into your specific metadata, where you can define exactly specific fields that you want to search for. Together with these, you get results in a table-like manner that you can completely customize. Also the filters on the side, and this is capable of searching through thousands of millions of records. when you get the record you want, you can see all the metadata of the records, some specific identifiers, or even the permissions for access and for managing this, the metadata and data. And below that, you can access the files and view it directly on the web interface. If they are simple files like test documents or video or audio. If they are complex objects like databases, you can load them into integrated viewers like this database viewer. You may note that these are the sites on the top of the browser are demo sites that are available, and you can check this out. And this viewer allows for you to get a glance of the whole database, see which information you are looking for, search through one table or all the records in the same way that you were searching the records. And then you can also have advanced search and find and filter what you are looking for, and then export it into a familiar format that you can reuse, like Excel or any other spreadsheet software. So this is a mature solution that has been under development for the past 15 years. It was co-funded by public institutions around Europe, and with which we partner with for having their requirements and fulfilling their needs. It's one of the main implementations of the EU e-archiving building block standards, for which we are also co-authors, the e-arch IP and the CR for databases. And it's in production for many, many years in leading European institutions around Europe. You have a list of the main ones here. So we are currently going through a pilot with the Office of the Chief Archivist of Lithuania and an associated state institution to get their data, archive it in the workflow that you've seen, and see what is the gap between the solution provided and the needs of the archive and of the original institution. These gap analysis will allow to identify a set of solution requirements, technical requirements that will then go into a public procurement phase. So we already have a stable solution in production in several countries in Europe, but not currently in Lithuania. We are looking for a partner institution to introduce us to the market and fill the gap in terms of the national specific requirements of metadata, of workflows and integration with systems, language, and help us with the language and the translation of the tools, national tendering procedures, marketing, first level help desk service, and even some connected services like digitization of paper and other analog mediums. So I'm open here for questions, and if you want to get in contact, here are my company's details.
Thanks a lot, and thank you for a very informative presentation. And I think what I'd like to ask is that considering that some other companies that present today might still be at the beginning of their journey of becoming, international and working with many different public sector organizations around the world, maybe you could share a bit more your experience in terms of, how was your experience from, starting from one country and scaling? Is it once you get one client, then it's easier to get many, or is it the same kind of effort and, a battle every time? Doesn't matter how.
There are several roadblocks ahead. Some are mainly between the one client which have specific requirements and the many clients where your solution must diversify and be more generalized and cope with a different set of use cases. And then there is the national versus international. As you jump borders, the legal requirements, the political onset is different. And it is a very difficult thing. And the language, of course, it's somewhat difficult to go beyond borders. And we felt that going beyond borders was more difficult, of course, than getting a more diversified solution. As it doesn't really depend on technical concerns only. It depends on networking and connecting to outside, which may be very difficult for a small institution with limited budgets.
Well, thanks a lot. Unfortunately, we are out of time, but we hope that you have a successful pilot project completed together with Irma, and all the best. Thanks a lot, both. So, and last but not the least is a challenge submitted by the Civil Service Department, a challenge that became crucial and very, very important for everyone once the pandemic hit, and it is how to perform remote examinations for civil servants. So the challenge, as I mentioned, was raised by Civil Service Department and solution created by Open Assessment Technologies, or TAO. So Simona and Elvis, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Aruna. So a crucial function of our department is the selection of civil servants. As a response to the challenges we faced during the pandemic, an initiative to develop a modern and user-friendly remote online applicants testing platform was born. The current testing of civil servants is outdated and does not fulfill the requirements of security, transparency, and user-friendliness. The solutions we have been looking for should allow us testing a large amount of applicants in real time, ensuring confidentiality of test items and a variety of modeling tasks of different formats, for example, eBasket, case analysis, essays, and others. To reduce the workload of our employees, we need applicant self-registration. Finally, we need to prevent cheating and unfair actions, thus we need online proctoring. We hope that the newly improved testing platform would allow us organizing hundreds or even thousands tests per year with the thousands of unique users who could be any one of you. Thank you, and Elvis.
Thank you, Simona. So I am Elvis Bada, and I work for the Open Assessment Technology company, which is, as we like to call it, the home of TAO, which is the name of our assessment platform that is responsible for over 100 million test deliveries in more than 160 countries around the world, including in Lithuania. As one of our partners is an NSA institution with whom we are working with for a bit more than 2 years now. And just like us, they are also a member of the global e-assessment community called the Flip Plus. So TAO has a wonderful component called the TAO Rostering Portal, which will allow the candidates to confirm their registration and their interest in the contest thoroughly. Those details will be able to be displayed on the single dashboard with other details, such as the schedule of the contest, which then will allow the commission members to monitor the status of the registration and do certain actions, such as canceling or confirming certain individual competition. In addition, this portal could also offer a solution of auto-scaling recommendation, because we understood that sometimes you have conflicting competitions started at the same time, and auto could be offering a possibility for the candidates to choose which one he wants to apply to and to start the competition for. Now that, let's say the competition has started, the biggest challenge, either on regular assessment or e-assessment, is how can we prevent cheating and how can we track the attempt. Once again, our tool has a wonderful component called the remote proctoring, which has different phases. So from the identification and the behavior settings to the analytics of the tool for the candidates, and it will be able to put some reports from which some action can be taken further after. So let's have a little look at how the setting look like. So here you have the behavior settings that you can set up before the competition. So that will allow you to allow certain behavior from the candidates, whether it's navigation through different tabs or some keyboard shortcut. And then you will be able to set this up before the competition starts. Then how it starts, so the candidates can be identified through different meanings. So here, as you can see, our little friend on the assessment is showing his ID. So it could be any other type of ID that you would like him to show. Then he will be able to start the competition. And then that's where the magic happens with the proctoring, that he will be able to flag here that it seems our little friend is having a phone call, and the proctorial will be able to flag this behavior and then to put certain level of suspicion. So based on the criteria that you previously set for the competition, he will be able to tell you whether this is a highly suspicious level or a regular one. So you will be able to see at what time it happened and to put some notes and take it into consideration in the final note, let's say. So here you will have different reports of each and every behavior and the level of suspicion and whether it's a green flag or like amber or red. And after that, you will be able to take further action, whether it's invalidate the competition or maybe even further more taking some legal action. So yeah, this is what the tool is able to do now. And that we think could answer some of the challenges for the cheating. So this is the team that has been working, that I like to call the happy team, that worked with this GovTech challenge team. So we were all very happy to work in this challenge for the first time. Even Dieter, even the picture doesn't suggest that he's happy, but he was very happy, I can tell you. And he was very productive all together with us to work with the GovTech team into having a lot of discussion around how to, for us especially, to understand the insight of the Lithuanian civil service processes and the complexity of the registration, but also throughout the discussion, we had many different ideas that went even beyond the scope of the challenge that we would like probably to tackle a bit further down, whether it's a mid-long term. So the next steps could be a preparation of a public procurement, and once, let's say, this is done and this is awarded, to embed our solution into the civil service IT ecosystem. And that will allow us maybe to tackle different areas such as the test creation range and the reporting customization, and even furthermore, Tau grader, which is a way to assess and to grade certain open-ended question. So in the pursuit of us to be able to furthermore increase our expertise throughout the different e-assessment world. So don't hesitate to get in touch with us. We have a website. This is my contact here. So you can just reach out for us, and then we can see how we can partner, and then trying to each other grow and address different challenges that you might face. Ačiū.
Thank you. Thanks, Elvis and Simona. And it's great to see international companies working with Lithuania's public sector institutions, not just once, but coming back again. I'll take it as a good sign. And, you know, my kind of first question from your international experience, have you seen an increase in interest of these kind of tools after the pandemic started? Or you think, you know, that has been kind of already a trend before before it all you know, surprised us a year and almost a half ago?
So we have seen a trend. So basically Tau exists or has been developed already almost 20 years ago. So we have seen that there is a trend that will go to the digitalization of the assessment. But of course, the pandemic raised certain doubt from certain people that maybe were not in favor of going in that direction, but the pandemic force them to have different solution. And I'm very proud to say that our partner in Lithuania was the one with the best, let's say, reaction to the pandemic. And it helped us also to grow and then to see how we can address the way that the e-assessment is done. Because before it was done, let's say, in a single place, like a school, but now we had a competition happening at home. So the parents were our, let's say, proctors, and were helping the kids to go through their assessments. So I believe it was the NMPP and the PUPP divisions. So yeah, we have seen a raise of interest, and yeah, we are still always in discussion with the new partners or existing partners that would like to develop further their solution.
And have you worked before with examinations for civil servants, or is this actually the first time that you're doing something in this space specifically?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have a partner in Belgium that has exactly the same problematic, and we work with them for already 2 to 3 years now. And yeah, they had the drop of, let's say, work during the COVID because they had some difficulties to have the competition starting again. But yeah, we have exactly the same solution, and we work also with them in that civil service department.
Amazing. Well, thanks a lot. I really hope this can be implemented, and we
Yeah.
need to have as many as possible fair and very competent public servants as we can. So I think this would definitely be a big help. Thanks a lot again, Alice and Simona.
Thank you.
So it's almost emotional to admit, but this has been the last pitch by our teams, and it's been amazing to see the progress that's been done over the last 10 weeks, and it's definitely very exciting to see what the next 10 weeks, half a year, and a year brings. So to quickly summarize, today we heard from our fireside chats from the government that there will be more data and more access to data. We heard from our venture capital funds, from Alex and Sandra, that there's increasingly more access to funding for impact-led companies and startups. And we hope and we see that this movement is definitely not going away. And so I'd like to thank again for companies and startups that gave their time and their expertise to work on these solutions to help solve the challenges. And huge thanks for public sector organizations that took that extra step and tried to walk the extra mile to look for innovative solutions. Is something that's not always on the first item on your to-do list when you go to work every morning, but I'm very, very happy and to see that everyone today took that step and added the search for innovative solutions on their to-do list. And thanks as well for my team that brought all these people together and helped them over the last 10 weeks to ensure successful cooperation and piloting of the solutions. And we actually have great news, and we will have in the next few months, as I mentioned at the very beginning, 50 more challenges being released, and we'll definitely need all of your help and expertise to solve them as well. And we hope this will be a new wave of GovTech startups, GovTech companies establishing, growing, and scaling both in Lithuania and internationally. And hopefully some of the international companies will be able to have him here as well. So thanks again. Thank you everyone for watching, for asking questions, for engaging. If any of your colleagues or friends were not able to watch the live stream, we'll have the recording online. So feel free to watch it again or forward it to your colleagues. So thanks again. Hope all of you have a good evening, had a great day, and hopefully see you soon.